Lela Block Gemara. Today's daf is daf Kuf Hey. And briefly, just to remind you what we did so far, the Mishnah discusses a case where your first condition and your second condition clash with each other. For example, or your description. You said, I'm selling you a plot of land, let's say a koir, 30 saw, and I add the word mida bechevel, which means I want an exact amount. I'm selling you an exact amount of 30 saw. But then I said, hein chosed hein yeser, more or less, which means it's not exact. And we said before, hey, chasa, yes, we allow a tolerance level of roughly around 4%, slightly more than 4%. So or vice versa, you reverse the order. The din is whatever you said last, that's what counts. Tfois loshen achad. We collect your last words. That's the view of Ben Nanas. So first we have Rav. Rav comes along and he says that even though Ben Nanas had that opinion, the rabbis disagree with him. And we told a story about a bathhouse where the person said, the landlord said, I am renting you the bathhouse for 12 golden coins for the year. And then he says 1 golden coin per month. Seems the two terms are clashing with each other. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel and Rabbi Yossi both rule that we don't know if we follow the first words you said or the last words you said. So they said, you know what, we'll divide the last month. You pay only for half a month because we don't know. So therefore, we're even asking, why does Rav have to tell us that the rabbis argued Ben Nanas? It's obvious. So you want to know, without Rav's explanation, we could have learned that story that it would conform with Ben Nanas as well. Why is that? Because we don't know necessarily it's clashing. When he said first that 12 golden coins a year, and then he said, first he said 12 golden coins a year. Then he said a golden coin per month. It could be that he changed his mind, but could also be that it's not clashing. He's explaining himself. You still owe me only 12 golden coins for the year, but I don't want you to pay me yearly. I want you to pay me monthly. And the advantage to me is that if the house collapses, for example, I don't have to build you a new one. You got your few months and that's it. Or if I change my mind in the middle and I want to evict you, I can. But if I fix it for a year, I can't. So I'm just defining what I'm saying. I'm not changing the terms. So therefore, because we don't know what you meant, maybe everyone agrees in this case you would divide it equally. That's why Rav comes along and says that the Rabbanan argue with Ben Nanas. We're up to the Kufayim and Alf. We're actually going to do 2 blot today, but if anybody can stay, it's all right. It's short Gemaras. Says the Gemara, Kufayim and Alf, the middle of the page. Comes along Shmuel, and his comment on the Mishnah is a little bit different than Rav. Rav said you should know that the Rabbanan argued Ben Nanas. Shmuel says, Zu divrei Ben Nanas. Shmuel's words are, you should know what was said here is only the opinion of Ben Nanas. Rav didn't actually use those words. But Chachamim say, Halech acha pocha sheb'lashonos. You go after the least of the expressions. What in the world does that mean? So the Rashbam learns it means that the moicher, the vendor, is always right. Because he's the moicher, it's his land. He's always right. And he's holding on the money he was paid to it. So what do you mean he's always right? If it turned out to be that it was more than what he said it will be, then we'll say, wait, midah bechevel, that's the main thing. He said exact, give him back to his excess land. If it turned out to be he gave you less than 30 saw, then we'll say hein chosed, hein yesed, more or less is good enough, and he doesn't have to give you back any of your money. That's how the Rashbam and some of the Shayim learn. The Bein Geshem interesting learns, and they want us, others argued on the same way, which is a little bit hard to understand. He says, whichever words are shorter is probably what he meant. Midah bechevel is 2 words. Hein chosed, hein yesed is 4 words. So you go after the least of the languages. What's the logic in that? I don't know. But that's what the Bein Geshem is right here. And that's what others want to learn Pshat in the Rambam and some others are saying. Okay. Something is missing. I don't know. So he needs a little explanation. Says the Gemara, so we're up to Shmuel came along and said that Ben Nanas and said that the 2 terms clash. We go after the last one, Tfais Lashon Achra, and so it comes along Shmuel, different than Rav. It says, Zu divrei Ben Nanas. This is Ben Nanas' opinion, as if he's a lone opinion, but we all disagree. Sounds like Zu v'lo shvidele. That's Ben Nanas' opinion, but I don't hold like it. Let me ask you a question. Rav and Shmuel together. I mean Shmuel as well. They both say, if a guy says, I'm going to sell you a koir for 30 seller. Fair enough. And it sounds like it's not a sale until you we're talking about a koir of wheat. So we're not talking about land, we're talking about metal. I'm selling you a koir of wheat, so many bushels, 30 saw worth. So because I said 30 saw worth, as long as we didn't get, let's say, while we're counting, suddenly the price, you already took 28, you made a mashich on 28 of them, 29 of them, and then suddenly the price drops. The buyer can say, I'm walking away from here, because the deal hasn't yet closed and the price dropped. Why should I pay so much? And vice versa. If the price went up, the vendor can say, hey, I can make so much more money. Why should I go ahead? Because I said Korb Shloshim. So the deal is not closed until the full Shloshim saw has been counted and given over to you. Is that you can change your mind. But if he says Korb Shloshim saw, Bisela, if he adds the word Bisela, sounds like he's changing his mind. First he said, I'm giving you 30 saw for 30 slime. Then he says a seller per saw, which sounds like every saw that you took is already yours. And we can't change your mind. Ani moichlach rishon kana. Whatever the guy bought, he already acquired. And that's the second word clashes the first. The beginning I said Korb Shloshim saw. So that sounds like it's not a deal until it's closed. Then I said bisela, that each saw is one seller. I changed my mind. It's every saw is a separate independent sale. And we see go after the last words. So in other words, Shmuel Paskas like bananas. What you're saying, Zu dibe bananas, if you say Zu v'lo svidale, doesn't hold of it, that's exactly what he paskins. El Zu v'svidale, right. This is a banana's opinion, and I hold like him. Now the Gemara asks the other way around. Tosha sometimes makes a comment not here. Where do you find the Gemara? First we ask, how can it be that you hold this way? And then afterwards when we say he doesn't, so what do you mean he doesn't hold this way? Of course he holds this way. So first the Gemara said, you're telling me he doesn't agree with the bananas. Surely he agrees. And you say, you're right, he agrees. The other one's going to say, he agrees. How can he agree? So what the Gemara should have done is we have a state of Shmuel and Shmuel rather than trying to bring it explaining the words of the bananas. Anyway, you tell me Shmuel holds, you go after the last words. Shmuel said this. We learned last time in Bava Metzia, Machlekes and Shmuel and Nachman and others, how to understand Pshat in this mission about the Merchitz. Shmuel learned that this whole din, you know why you divide the last month? We don't know, if you change his mind, didn't change his mind, only if it's in the middle of the month. So half the money, the Seicher already lived half in that month. And so the Moichi can't chase him out or anything else, and he can't take his money away from him because the Moichi then is the Moitzi. He wants money from the Lekech. But the other half of the Lekech hasn't, the Seichet, the renter, hasn't lived in there yet. He wants to be able to live another 2 weeks. He's a Moitzi. So because it's in the middle, we don't know, leave things the way they are. She said, but we always go after the Muhzik. If he came in the beginning of the month, who's the Muhzik? The Masker, it's his property. And who's the Moitzi? The Seicher wants to live there for another month. He has to prove one way or another. He has to pay. If, however, the month already expires, at the end of the 30 months, and the masker comes to the Seicher, pay me the rent, who holds on the money right now? The Seicher holding on the money. The masker wants the money. He's the Moitzi. So in other words, what Shmuel telling us, we don't look at the last words. We don't know. So whenever there's a suffix, leave things and leave things where they are. And you just had a minute ago, Shmuel holds that twice lashon achron. The Gemara says, okay, we change our mind. Really, Shmuel does not agree with bananas. Bananas says twice lashon achron. Shmuel does not agree with bananas at all. No, boss, we don't know. So whenever there's a suffix, leave it with a muhzik. That's why we said that in case over there by the renter, leave it with a muhzik. Sometime am I. What do you call it? And so the problem is, but we had the case of Rav and Shmuel. They both said, if you said Korb Shloshim saw bis, right, which means the deal is not a deal until it's all finished. And then I say bisela, so I'm changing my mind. And we said that you listen to the last words, whatever you took. Why? If you don't say twice lashon achron, then why? Then why do we say whatever you took? So he says here. No, you might say no. Time nothing to do with twice lashon achron, because the truth of the matter is, I don't care which order you said it. I don't care if you said first saw bisela, and then you say Korb Shloshim saw, which means the last word you said was it's not a deal till you give the 30 saw, or you said the first way around. You said the way we learned before, Korb Shloshim sell, Korb Shloshim sell, and then you say Korb Shloshim, and then you say bisela. I don't care which the order is. Either way, whatever you took, and why is that? The toughest Remember we're saying right now, we're saying the Pshat and Shmuel is, we don't know what's the most important part, first or the second. And because we don't know, we say, whatever you have, leave it where it is. So therefore, if you already took 29 saw, and we don't know whether which part of the expression is the main one, the one we said 30 saw, a 30 saw for $30, or the one that you said $1 per saw, because we don't know. Whatever you have, you have. Whatever you don't have, you don't have. This is constant what we said before. Says the Gemara. Whatever you're holding on to, you're holding on to. So Shmuel does not hold Tfois L'Shalachan. He holds we don't know which is the main one, the first or the second. And we're talking about a case here where it clashes. Amr said, Amr be Rav in the Yeshiva of Rav, they said that Rav does pass. Can you go after where it definitely clashes? You go after the last. What do you say? If you say Istra is this costed Istra is 96 plutus, and then you say Meyama is 100 plutus. So first you said your cost on Istra 96, and then you said Meyama, which is 100. So which one do you want for the deal to happen? 96 or 100? Then Meyama. You said last 100 plutus. That's what will make the deal happen. What about the other way around? Meyamo, he said, I'm going to charge you 100 more for this deal, and then he said Istra, an Istra which is 96 plutus, Istra, because that you said last. So Rav holds. Shmuel says, I don't know which is the main one, first or second, but Rav holds is the second. Yeah. My kamashmalan. So what do you tell me? That Rav holds. You look at the last words. Rav Chanazim already said it. He already said before in the case of the Koyer B'Shloishim Saw. Bisela, you already said that. What? You look whatever you said last. Not like what we learned Shmuel. And you have a husam if in the case of the Amarav, sorry, don't say that there is no raya one way or another, because we could learn like Shmuel, that Shmuel says that story there we can learn like Shmuel, that Shmuel says it's not because he tried Lashon Achron, it's because we say we don't know, whatever you muchzik, you muchzik. But you know what Rav said clearly for Lashon Achron? On that story that happened with the bathhouse, and he said 12 golden coins for the year, and then he said a coin a month, and we don't know. So now it turned out to be a leap year. Does he pay 13 or not? And Rav said this. Over there we said, Shmuel said it depends if it only works out in the middle of the month. Then we say that whatever you have, you have. If it's the beginning of the month, we say we look at always who's the mapsik. But the Rav said that if I would have been alive at that story, I would have given all. It says in I think the Shara Koil in the back of the mouth, if I remember correctly, it says that Rav lived 400 years. He brings from somewhere that Rav, I think he brings from somewhere. And Rav lived 400 years. Because it says in the Gemara in Gittin Avov there, when Rav came to Bavel, that's when Torah came to Bavel. So there's two pshatim. Either the Torah came to Bavel a long time before that. And the Rav just made the yeshivas, whatever it is, or Rav brought Torah to Bavel. Yep. But if you learn that Rav lived for 400 years, then it really makes sense that Rav brought Torah to Bavel, because he had how many Talmidim over the years? Even though we know that the Rav lived, learned a little bit by Rebbe. He was a Tana that he could argue as well. If I would have been I would have given the whole money to the masket. The masket said 12 golden coins for the year, a golden coin per month. So dinner zav per month means a leap year is 13. That's the last thing he said. So that's clearly I would have given him full 13. So I would have thought Pirusha Kamefarish. I would have thought that over there is that he's explaining himself. When I said 12 for the year, that's only in a normal year. That's only a normal year. I don't remember in those days they didn't plan about leap years. First of all, only till Tishrei. And even then, many times, you look at the weather and see what's going to happen. We'll learn Martian Head if you're out there, when all the different calculations they made to decide when to make a leap year or not. And Chizkiah made it on the last day of Adar. He was wrong for that, but he made the last day of Adar, the day it should have been his Chodesh. So I would have thought it could be mefarish that that's not clashing. But in the case where you're clashing, you said one thing, Klor, 90, let's say 96 prutas, then 100 prutas. They're definitely clashing. Which one do we follow? Maybe Rabbis made we don't know, and we say a suffix and you go after and so on. So like Marshall, they hold